are here for our Mastery Chat recap. I have not had the opportunity to be a part of a Mastery Chat recap live after in a very long time, but holy cow, am I glad that I am a part of this one, because Vic, you did amazing hosting Mastery Chat, and I was so honored to be able to recap the conversation with you, because holy cow, that was a busy, busy chat. So for everybody here that is popping in, comments so far. Vic, would you mind introducing yourself, telling a little bit about yourself to our amazing network who is excited to hear our Mastery Chat recap?
Sure. Usually people don't give me the mic because I take a long time, but I'll be brief.
I like that. You go for it.
By midnight. Yeah, I'll end by midnight. No, just joking. But anyway, I'm Vic Nixon, and I'm educated in Texas, over 20 years experience. My background is in behavior adjustment, but right now I'm the truancy principal at a large high school in Texas. Truancy is a big deal here. And again, I have over 20 years experience. I was in the military, 6 years, troops to teachers, teaching. Army, like I say, troops to teachers, how I entered the profession. And that's basically me in a nutshell.
Oh my gosh, Vic, I have been connected with you for a little bit, but not for as long as I'd like, because holy cow, did you share a lot of great information tonight. I actually just finished up doing a few stories on our Instagram, because I was talking about, I'm like, guys, if you're an educator anywhere in the world right now, go back and reread what this chat was about, because there were so many ideas and resources shared by everybody there. And it was really your amazing questions that you crafted. So would you mind telling us a little bit, what was the topic for tonight, and why was that the topic that you're passionate about sharing for Mastery Chat?
Okay, it was valuing diversity. Diversity is kicked around as a phrase, and diversity, especially now with what's going on in our country, diversity seems to be a catchphrase, a fad, and I don't want to be a fad. Obviously I'm affected by diversity. We all are. But diversity has played a big role in my life. And the thing about diversity, we have to do it. That's why I say value diversity. You can't just say it and have a chat and then just disappear. And that's why I asked I guess the last question was, what are you going to do to promote diversity in your professional lives, also in your personal life? Is that you got to do something about it. It can't be a fad. It just stops. Or you have a professional development training and you have it there and you clap, oh, wow, that's good ideas. And you go back to your school and you forget all about it. So that's why I came crafting those ideas.
Well, and Vic, I couldn't agree more, because every time we've been having these conversations for change, every single week, I think about the fact that we cannot have this just be a fad, because my concern is that we're going to get overwhelmed heading back into schools, and then these important conversations are going to go to the back burner. And we really need to keep this at the forefront of not only our conversations as educators, but our minds as classroom teachers, to ensure that we are supporting our students. And I'm so glad that you also see that as a need. I think that was very well shared in this chat specifically, because people shared so many ideas on how they're going to continue forward. I know you mentioned that was your last question that you asked of the night. And granted, this was an hour chat. There was a lot shared. But was there any ideas that people shared kind of at the tail end that we can, celebrate a little bit of ideas, how people are continuing to bring this idea to the forefront in their classrooms when they head back to school?
Well, I think in general that it's more about you as a personal accountability. One of the things I like to discuss in chats is about your personal network. But basically, I guess they say Sundays are the most segregated days in America, because we go to black churches, white churches, or whatever your religion is, and we don't mingle. We don't have a diverse social network. We have workers. We go to work. We go to school. We have people who we work with. Then we do what we have to do. Then we go home. But very rarely do we actually have, I guess, close friends of a diverse network.
Hey, Vic, I can't hear you anymore. Can you still hear me?
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. You were just on a roll, and I wanted to make sure that we could hear everything you were saying. You were talking about needing a diverse, just social life, as well as in our classrooms. You still with us? I'm not sure if I lost him only on my end or if you guys can still see him. Looks like on my phone, Vic, we may have lost you. I'm going to have you exit. I'm going to try and bring you back in a second. We're going to hope that he joins us in a second. I'm just going to continue forward with what he was saying. So one of the elements that I really love that he was sharing on before we lost him, which was such a bummer because I'm hoping he comes back. This was an incredible chat, guys. I just want to make sure you guys know that one of the blessings that we had in this chat was some really rich conversation, and that is such a need in Twitter chats. It looks like we have him back here now. Vic, you back with us?
Okay. Yes. Where the heck happened? I don't know. Maybe I'm blowing out my internet system, so you have to do online learning everyone else.
So Vic, you were talking about a really important idea. So I want you to truly try and pick up where you were. You were talking about how in our social lives we don't necessarily have a diverse network, and we really need to make sure that we do. Will you continue on with that thought?
Right. And sometimes that's due to where we live. Because I forgot where I left off at, but I remember I read a study that said that less than 2% of us have had someone from a different race or culture in our house for dinner. And that's true. That's one thing I noticed from the military. In the military, we worked together, we played together. But when I went to the civilian side, I became a teacher. It was different. It was like I had comrades, at the school. But after that, it all ended. It was really no social interaction between us. And I think that's where you really get to know people. It's through social, not necessarily through professional development or through school or through work, I should say. And what I wanted to promote is that we need to diversify our own personal network. And me, I'm African American. That doesn't mean I speak for all African Americans. That's one thing that I want to put out there. But also, I want to say that I want to be more, have more knowledge of the Asian community or Native American community, different ethnic groups, just to get a different perspective.
Absolutely. Vic, that percentage astounds me. And I hope that everybody hears that alone. Like whether you come to Mastery Chat and participate for the full hour conversation or not, that alone, if we could all make an effort to bring more people. I like that kind of like the metaphor, like bring more people to the dinner table, right? Like invite more people in to truly learn about who they are. What an incredible just idea that you started off with. We're only 7 minutes into this video. This is why I was so excited to go live with you.
And you have to ask yourself that, because I fall in the same category, and I can't explain why. Why? I guess we are around people who we are similar to. And I fall in that same category. I have two friends, one Hispanic, one who's Caucasian, where I'm very close with. But other than that, that's it. And I don't know why, but I think I got to make an effort. And I'm making an effort through Twitter, as a matter of fact. And there's people on this chat that I consider friends. I invited a lot of people personally that I really follow. And if I need a perspective on something from their cultures, I ask them. As a matter of fact, what's interesting is people have asked me different opinions. And again, I don't represent all opinions of African Americans, but I just value the fact that they ask me, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I think you won't have the issues like we've had on the news about, teachers dressing up in blackface or teachers putting on Native American feathers, whatever, for Thanksgiving. You won't have that if you have a diverse social network. You can run that by them. So if I have an issue, let's say with the Asian community, or I don't say issue, but if I have something I want to do, I want to run it by someone to see what do you think about that? What's your perspective about that?
Well, and I like that point, Vic, because what you're touching on is not only us wanting to be learners in communities, but also have us learn alongside people that can at least share their own perspective, right? Nobody's necessarily speaking for their entire race, religion, or ethnicity, but to be able to just share some perspective so we can each be better. I mean, that's a really important component of every element. And to be able to have somebody to confide in and continue to foster those conversations. I mean, I don't want to be necessarily so vulnerable and share all the conversations that I've had about this, but one of the key ones is the focus that we've had on the Teach Better team. We've had endless conversations around our bubble is not nearly as diverse as it must be. And we've had some really hard and uncomfortable conversations with members of our Teach Better team saying, we don't think that this is intentional, but this is a problem. And we are not going to be a part of the problem. We have to be a part of the solution. And so it's an active choice to reach out to those that are different in whatever way different is, and just continue to welcome all people into our communities in every capacity. So I love that emphasis that you put on this chat.
Right. You had to be intentional as LGBT community. I mean, everything.
Yes.
I mean, but you have to be intentional about it. That's what I'm starting to do now. Be more intentional.
Oh, I love that. So important. So I want to get more into this chat. I know there's been so many comments. People were joking that this chat just like blew up the internet. There was so much great conversation.
Wow.
People are really feeling like, the statistic is so powerful. And then, this idea around a dinner table can lead to so many things. I don't know about you, Vic, but I came from a very strict family, and that required me to sit around the dinner table every night, no matter what. Didn't matter what time it was, you got to be at the dinner table. And this idea that, true connections and understanding can come from that space. Jeff Kaplan, you probably don't even know. I agree with that so wholeheartedly.
I agree. We came from the same family. I guess I came from military family, so we had to eat at the same time. But that's when you had those conversations. That's when defenses seem to drop, and you had those conversations. Part of the problem is that there's defenses that are up. Because right now, like I talked to my I have more than one Caucasian friend, don't get me wrong, but as a professional in education, and he tells me, he says sometimes he just don't want to say the wrong thing to make people think he's prejudiced. He's more hypersensitive now, but right now we have such a good relationship. He can run things by me, I run things by him. But it's that honest, tough conversation that we have to have.
And you're right. And being able to have those open conversations is really something that I feel like I saw a lot this summer. I saw a lot in June. And I'm anxious about this idea that we kind of talked at the beginning is this cannot go away just because it's been a hot topic. Like just because it was a really big discussed idea in June doesn't mean that it shouldn't continue to be an extremely talked about topic in August. We can't just get bored with things that have to change. And so I love that you continue to bring that up, not only in this chat, but just in general, we need to continue to support each other to be better. So as you were crafting this chat, I was so eager to ask you. I told you this before we went live. I thought the questions that you asked were really challenging, like so spot on, because it really forced people to be reflective. Was there any question that you put together that you were either excited to ask to see what the response would be, or I'll even give you that when you asked it, you didn't think that the question would kind of go that direction? Was there one or the other idea that was interesting to you?
I think the interesting question is about your own personal network. We talk about how we're inclusive for our kids, but taking it as an individual, do you think that it's important to have a diverse social professional network? And some people don't even think about it. Oh, okay, because that's where they are, it's where their school is. And I want to get some more internal, thought-provoking, questions out there. Because again, we can define diversity, define equity, and say we do this for our classroom. But what about ourselves? Because really, only thing we can change, the only people we can change is ourselves. We can set the environment up how we want to in our classroom. But I think we change ourselves, and that's what our students feed off on.
Well, and actually, that's a point I was just Teachers Deserve It, a book that I was recently a part of, just published. And one of the main things in the first chapter is you can't change people, but you can empower and inspire them to change. And that's the work that we need to do right now. We need to be better as individuals so that we can hopefully continue to inspire others to make that choice as well. Can I ask you, Vic, are there any strategies or tips that you can give to somebody who's maybe reflecting back on this chat and saying, my network truly is not as diverse as it needs to be in all different realms? What's kind of the first step I can take?
Well, I don't want to promote it, but there's an organization called NABSE, the National Alliance of Black School Educators. NABSE, they have a Twitter handle too, at NABSE, NABSE, and it's called National. It's the Alliance of Black School Educators, but it's for all educators, and it's diverse. They have conferences. I've been a member for quite some time. I mean, and it's very diverse, and they go over different issues as affecting students, because the majority of our students, we know, are students of color. And that's what this organization does. And there's also states have an affiliate as well. Texas has one, the Texas Alliance of Black School Educators. And I suggest joining organizations like that, joining organizations that are, I guess, more associated with Hispanic or whatever case may be. We need to join organizations. So what you have to do.
What a great suggestion, Vic. I think there's so many different ways to do that, but I love the idea of going to the people who are already doing the work seeing the people that are connected to them, seeing the people that they are choosing to connect with. I mean, that's a really easy thing to go to one Twitter account, one organization's website, and just start your journey, right? It's not something that's this far-fetched idea that everyone needs to set aside 6 hours on their Saturday afternoon to, figure out this problem. We're talking about one step. Go to one Twitter account or one website or whatever, and choose to actively start this journey, and then just keep it up.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. But it's got to be intentional. You have to make an intent to do it. Because it took me a couple of years to join. It took me about 5 years. I kept saying I was going to do it, and I finally did it. And just get diverse perspectives, And
isn't that funny? There's so many things that are good for us that we don't choose to do, right? So many things that we're like, because it's for me, it almost goes to the bottom of the to-do list. Do you see a lot of that with teacher self-care or professional networking or professional growth? We say, it's because it's for us. I'm going to put lower on the list. And I'm going to put other things that affect people higher. And the reality is that this is affecting others. This needs to be the highest on our list. And to really be intentional, that could be intentional for 5 minutes every day. It doesn't need to be something that means that you need to give up all your extra activities to be able to make this your focus. You just need to continue to be an advocate for the people that make us better, people that make us better educators.
I agree. But one thing about the education, I guess teachers, we're too humble. I see that at interviews, teachers don't want to, they're very humble. I mean, it's just a very humble profession. I see that when teachers interview, they don't want to bring themselves out. And I think that's part of it, is we care for everyone else, like you said, and not for ourselves.
And the reality is while this really is for us, it's also for others. And so while it's great and we need to encourage each other to, enjoy that. I mean, being humble is good, but we really need to celebrate each other as well. And not only celebrate each other by identifying great lesson plans and things like that, but also celebrating each other's backgrounds. It's a gift. It's a blessing that we all come from different backgrounds, but it's only a gift and a blessing if you choose to connect with it, understand it, and utilize it to be a stronger educator. I mean, that's going to be where that comes from.
I agree, because we're really, I don't even like to call ourselves educators. We're lifesavers. We save lives, is what we do. I joke with some of my friends. I say that education, I was in the military, like I said, 6 years. Matter of fact, dealt with nuclear weapons, to be honest with you. And I think our job is just as important as the job I had before, because we are saving lives. There are kids out there that are going under, that are taking gulps, especially now they're taking gulps. And we as educators stick our hand out there and pull them out. So being educated it's a vital job, and I really appreciate being an educator. I appreciate being around educators. I appreciate this chat, because now with the internet and being virtual, I mean, you can live in an isolated area and still have a diverse network. This through the chats we had tonight.
You're completely right. And that is the gift of the internet right now, is that if you are living on Educator Island, it's a choice. So choose to grow your network, and not just with educators that are like-minded, but educators that are different than you, whether they have differing opinions, different race, different ethnicity, religion, anything in between. Go grow your network so we can be better. I love this. We've gotten so many comments so far. People are so happy about your sharing. We need to be intentional. Jeff asked a question for me specifically. Do you talk to your students about being Jewish? Interesting. So Jeff Kaplan knows, and I don't know if I'm Jewish, and I shared that on a live video as we were actually talking about the need for us to have a diverse network, because we were talking about race, and we were talking about how being in a minority is challenging, and yet I was talking about how I'm in a minority, but I can hide it, and how that actually is something that I choose to do sometimes. And isn't that unfortunate that we live in a world that we feel the need to do that if we can? It's so foolish. So to be honest, Jeff,
that's so when question, I never thought about that. Maybe I need to expand my network. I never thought about like you say, Jewish students. I'm sure we have some on my campus, but I just didn't think about it.
Well, I won't lie, Vic. I'm in a middle school in a wonderful area. I'm in central Illinois, and I have 900 students in my building, and there is one Jewish student in the entire building.
Wow.
And there is one Jewish teacher, which is me. So talking to my students about being Jewish, Jeff, I used to avoid it at all costs because I would, interact with judgment for, a variety of reasons. People, aren't maybe as open and welcoming. And to be honest, I now have gotten away from that because it's so important for us to be not only proud of who we are, but also build relationships with students in an authentic way. I think it's good for them to know that we all come from different backgrounds. So Jeff, I've actually grown a lot with that question for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna expand my social network. I'll put you in my PLN now.
There you go.
So I can learn. Okay.
No, I love it. I mean, hey, the more we can grow our networks, the better. And I think, Vic, you did such an amazing job hosting this chat because it really did bring to light so many issues that have been discussed, but with really great perspectives tonight. And I just so appreciate that. One of my favorite questions, I haven't gotten to do a Master Chat recap recently, so you get my favorite question. My favorite question is, you just hosted this amazing chat. It was an hour long. You had hundreds and hundreds of teachers who chose to come together under one hashtag and really have authentic conversations. And not only conversations sharing positivity, but dialogue and discussions that could lead to people being better educators in the end. And so if you had one thing you're hoping educators could walk away with after this chat, what would you hope they walked away with an understanding of?
I say understanding of each other. I mean, don't go by the media, don't go by what you see on TV and things of that nature. Walk away, I guess, with the idea that you're going to diversify your network, personal and professional. And I should underline personal. That's when you really get to know people, because we really don't know people. Yeah. We really don't. We read books, we read magazines. That's why you see all these mistakes being made, is that we don't know each other. And I think that you have to be intentional about increasing the diversity of your network. And if you leave with anything tonight, reach out to me, anyone, and diversify your network. Because I think we tend to go with what we know or what we like or what's convenient. And I think sometimes we got to step out, and maybe it may be a little tough, but we got to do it, be intentional about it. And it's rewarding, very rewarding. Because the reason why we have one of the best militaries in the world is because it's diverse. Diversity of thought, diversity of, again, opinions, ideas, and that's why we had the best military in the world. And that's why we have the best teaching force as well, because we're also diverse, bringing in diverse perspectives. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, diversify your personal life and your personal, and your professional network.
Vic,
that's two things. That's two things. I'm sorry.
But it's perfect. I mean, two things that are important. So that's really important. I want to make sure that those two things can both be celebrated. That's wonderful. I do want to comment on one comment that we had here. I think it's really important that we address this. And then obviously, if anyone else has questions, they can throw them in. Alex talks about how he never talks about his faith in school because he doesn't want other people to accuse him of doing something inappropriate. And I would say, Alex, while there absolutely, I want to make sure you know this, there's a time and place to choose to share about your life. And that goes for race, religion, ethnicity, or anything in between. There is a time and place that is appropriate and some that are inappropriate. And to be honest, Alex, when I talk about being Jewish at all, if ever with students, it's because a holiday is coming up that I don't celebrate. And they ask me like point blank what I'm doing for the holiday. So very often it's Christmas and they go, "Oh, Miss Hughart," coming from a place of love. They're like, "Oh, Miss Hughart, what are you doing for Christmas?" And rather than lie, because that seems wrong, I just get to say, "Oh, you know what? I don't celebrate that holiday, but so many of my friends do. So I don't have plans, but what are you doing? I'd love to learn about what you do on that day." And so that usually very frequently brings up that I don't celebrate the same holidays. Not all of them, at least. I mean, we celebrate other holidays together, but not that one specifically. And so it just is an organic conversation that I do absolutely believe you need to keep appropriate. But just like we are going to continue to discuss, issues with our students on accepting all people, sometimes these things do come up. So it is important. But Vic, I don't know if you have any additional elements you want to add to that.
Well, I don't know what level you say. I'm at a large high school, and we have a cultural committee, and they do discuss things of that nature in the cultural committee, celebrating their beliefs. I mean, it's not like you're proselytizing or trying to convert anyone,
No.
but they do have a cultural committee. There's a club that is student ran.
Oh, cool. You know, it's funny, Vic, you say that. There's a brand new group in my middle school who started celebrating almost every holiday imaginable. Like, it seems like every other day there was a celebration of something going on in the building. And there was something very special about being a part of a group that not many people are a part of, and seeing the entire building celebrate with you. Isn't that like such a fun experience, whether you're a student, a teacher, or anything in between? You know, being able to celebrate all people all the time is just such a wonderful opportunity. I think any time to celebrate is a good thing.
I agree.
I love it. Well, Vic, I really appreciate you did such an amazing job for Master Chat. I so appreciate that you came live afterwards too. I know that chat is a lot to handle. Would you mind sharing with us, if our friends here are maybe not on Twitter, but they still want to connect with you or something in between, would you mind sharing your Twitter handle or how people can get connected with you to continue to grow their PLN?
Okay, it's at Vic Nixon 1988. And no, that's not the year I was born. That's the year I graduated from college. I know you don't believe it. Yeah, but Vic Nixon at Vic Nixon 1988. That's my Twitter handle. And basically, that's the best way.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate it, Vic. You did an amazing job. For everybody else that's here, we appreciate that you joined our Master Chat recap. Don't forget, we have Master Chat every single Thursday. We've been doing this for years and years. So continue to celebrate with us, even when the school year begins. I know so many of us are so tired in the evenings, and we drop off of doing Twitter chats because we're like, ugh, you know, like it's another thing. But remember, Mastery Chats are a time where you get to refuel yourself. You get to spend time with your professional learning network. You get to see your family and friends. So do not pass up on opportunities to refuel yourself so you can come back better for your students. So we will see you all next week and every Thursday from now on. Vic, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you.